Hello, my name is Claire Shiflett, and today I'm going to be teaching cubic and quartic functions and how to graph them. So, to start off, I wanted to share a basic definition of what both of these are. So, starting with cubic, a cubic function is a polynomial function, and the highest degree it has is the number 3. And then a quartic function is pretty similar, but its highest degree is 4. So, I'm going to write what that will look like. So, a cubic function typically looks like this. F of x equals ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. And it looks like that. The highest degree is 3, as you can tell. And then a quartic function, I'm going to write that down as well. F of x equals ax to the 4th plus bx cubed plus ax squared plus dx plus e. Okay, and then this is what a quartic function looks like. You can tell these two are different because the highest degree it has is 4, and it's a little bit longer because you have to write it in order. It's 4, 3, 2, 1, and then this doesn't have a variable next to it. So even though their formulas look very similar, they look pretty different on a graph. So I'm going to show you just like a small visual of what they usually look like. So a cubic function usually looks something like this. And it can be flip-flopped, like, it can be, let me show you, like something like this. Like, they can be either one, it just depends on the numbers that you have, and whether they're positive or if they're negative. And because its degree is 3, the ends will, always be on opposite sides. And then a quartic function, looks like a W. That's kind of how I remembered it. But it can also look like an M, and I'm going to show you how. And again, this just depends on whether it's positive or whether it's negative. So this isn't a great representation. My work is a little bit sloppy, but this is how it'll usually look on a graph. Okay, so we've learned the basic definition, like how they look, what they are, what their degree is. Now I think we can do an example. And first I'm going to start with a cubic example, and this example is very easy. So step 1, I'm just going to write down, well, this isn't step 1, sorry. I'm just going to write down what my equation is. So I decided to do f of x is equal to x cubed minus 4x. This is, again, a very easy example. So we've got this. Step 1, I'm going to set this to 0. So basically, it'll look like this. X cubed minus 4x equals 0. So that's what it will look like. So now, this is a very important step. You want to see if they have a common factor. So this does not have a coefficient next to it, but they both have x in common, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this x out. So that will be step 2. So I can take out 1x, so it's going to be x parenthesis x squared minus 4 equals 0. So this is how your equation should look now. So basically what kind of helps me out is I know that I like to separate these. So x equals 0 and x squared minus 4 equals 0. And that's how I like to write it. So now that we have this written out like that, you can solve. So we've already have this one simplified enough, it's solved. So now we do x squared minus 4 equals 0. So the first step for this is you want to isolate your x. So you add 4 to both sides. So let me write that down. So now we've got x squared minus 4, x squared equals 4. So now we have that, but it's not quite done yet because you can't have an x squared right here. It just has to be x. So what we'll do to fix that is we're going to take the square roots of both of these. So I'm going to make a little arrow and I'm going to move it over here. The square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 4 is 2. So we're going to write it x is equal to plus or minus 2. And there you go. So now we have our points, well, where the thing is going to cross the x-axis. So I'm going to write those down so you can see that. 0, 0. We've got 2, 0. And then we've got negative 2, 0. So there you go. So I've made my graph, and with the points that we got from finding the x-intercept, I'm going to plot those on the graph. So we've got 0, 0, we've got 2, 0, and then we've got negative 2 and 0. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go put these on the graph. So we've got 0, 0. I plug that right in the middle. Then we've got 2, 0. So 1, 2. And I plotted that right there. So now we have negative 2, 0. And this is the side where it goes negative. So I'm going to go 1, 2. And I'm going to plot that. So that's what that should look like. So I'm going to place this right here. And now what we have to do is we have to find the y-intercept. So I'm going to go erase this. And we're going to find the y-intercepts of this graph. So I'm going to go ahead, rewrite the equation. We've got f of x equals x cubed minus 4x. Same thing, we're going to set this equal to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. X cubed minus 4x equals 0. And now I'm going to find two numbers that I can plug into x. So the numbers I chose are 1 and negative 1. I feel like those are just really simple. It'll get us the points we need for the graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 in for each of the x's. So I'm going to write that down. We've got 1 cubed minus 4. Put the y. And that's what we have. So we're going to kind of simplify that. 1 cubed still equals 1. So I'm just going to put that down there. Negative 4 times 1 equals negative 4. So we've got 1 minus 4, and that equals negative 3. So we've got our first pair. We have 1 and negative 3. So at the end, we're going to plot that as well. Now we're going to plug in negative 1. So same thing, I'm going to do negative 1 cubed minus 4 times negative 1. Negative 1 cubed equals negative 1 still. So we're going to put that down. Negative 4 times negative 1. That equals positive 4. So negative 1 plus 4 equals positive 3. And then that's our next set of pairs. So we've got negative 1 and positive 3. So these are the pairs that we got. Those are the y-intercepts. We're going to go ahead, plug those in on the graph. So I've got 1 and negative 3. I'm going to go 1, 1, 2, 3. And that's where I'm going to plot that. Let me make it a little bit bigger. And then I have the same. I have 1, negative 3 now. So I'm going to go, negative 1, 3. So 1, 1, 2, 3. That's where I plot that. And now we can connect the dots. So I'm going to do that really quick. And that is what your cubic function should look like. So I did an example of a cubic function. We saw how to find the points, and then I also showed how to graph it. And now it's time to learn how to do a quartic function. So I'm going to write down my example. Again, this is another easy one. And then I will show you how to find your points. So x to the 4th minus 5x squared. Okay, so this is the problem we're going to deal with. Okay, so step 1, this is a very important step again. We're going to find its common factor. So they both have x squared in common, so I'm going to go ahead and take x squared out. And we've got x squared left minus 5. Okay, so this is what that looks like. We've got x squared parentheses x squared minus 5x equals 0. Okay, so we know that x squared is equal to 0 and x squared minus 5 is equal to 0. So this is important. We have to do square root for both of these. So I'm going to start with x squared is equal to 0. So this is really easy. It equals x equals 0. So that is the first. And now we're going to do this one. So same thing, but first we're going to add 5. We do that. So now you've got x squared is equal to 5. So I'm going to do that. So now I've got x is equal to plus or minus 5. So I'm going to use my calculator real quick, and I'm going to see what the square root of 5 equals. There it is. Okay. I've got my calculator right here. And I'm going to find the square root of 5. So we get kind of a crazy decimal, but I'm just going to say it's 2.2, or you could just leave it like this. So equals 2.2. So now we've got where it'll cross the x-axis. So we've got 0, 0, we've got 2.2, 0, and then we've got negative 2.2, 0. Okay, so that's all the points. I'm just going to put those on the graph now. So I've got 0, 0, I'm going to plug that in. 2.20, so I'm going to go 1, 2, and plug that in right there. Same thing on the other side. And then draw a little bit past. So yeah, that's what we've got right there. So I went ahead and I erased all the work that we did to find the x-axis. Now I have everything written down to find the y-axis. So I rewrote the equation, and then these are the numbers I decided to choose to plug into the x's to find the y. So I chose 2, -2, 1, and -1. Those are really simple numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug those in. So 2 to the 4th minus 5 times 2 squared. Okay, so 2 to the 4th equals 16. And then I'm going to go on my calculator and I'm going to plug in -5 parentheses 2 squared. And that equals as you can see, negative 20. So I'm going to put that down. 16 minus 20 is negative 4. So we've got our first pair of points, and that is 2 and negative 4. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cross out this 2. I'm going to erase this work so that I have room for the others. And I'm going to start with negative 2 now. So I've got negative 2 to the 4th minus 5, negative 2 squared. Negative 2 to the 4th, I'm going to go ahead and put that in my calculator just so I can do it quickly. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. That equals 16. Whoops. 16. So I'm going to write that down. Then I'm going to do negative 5 times, or negative 5 parenthesis negative 2 squared. And that equals negative 20. So I'm going to write negative 20. 16 minus 20 is negative 4. So our next pair of points is negative 2, negative 4. So again, I'm going to cross that out, and I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to start by plugging in 1. So I've got negative 1 to the 4th minus 5 times 1 squared. So this just equals 1. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. So we've got negative 4. That's our second pair. We've got 1 and negative 4. Now I'm going to cross that out, going to erase this, and repeat. We've got negative 1 to the 4th minus 5 times negative 1 to the 4th. This just equals positive 1 minus 5 times positive 1 again, because squared, but still that'll equal positive 1. So 1 minus 5 equals negative 4. We can do that. Negative 1, negative 4. These are all our points. So with all these points, I can put this on the graph now. So I'm just going to place this in my lap. And here's the graph. We already have the x-intercepts. So first I'm going to plot 2, negative 4. So we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got negative 2, negative 4. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to plot. Sorry, that looks like it's in 3 a little bit. 2. Just trying to save enough room for the 1s. So now we have 1, negative 4. We've got 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cross that out. Then we have negative 1, negative 4. So 1, 2. Whoops, sorry. Negative 1. 2. Okay, so now that we've found all the points for the y-intercept, and we found the points for the x-intercept, and we graphed those, the last thing we need to do is just draw the line. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to start from here. 1, 2. See, it makes a W. And that is a quartic function. That's it for the quartic and cubic functions lesson. Thank you so much for watching.